Where are you from? Where are you really from?
I'm embarrassed about this woman. She's affiliated with the Black Lives Matter movement, a bunch of fraudsters who played on white guilt to extort money from the generous, trusting nature of most people, the majority of whom are not racist.
Oh, so fabulous.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel once again. It's your girl Dumebi. If this is your first time coming across my channel, you're welcome. I do hope you decide to subscribe, and if you are a returning subscriber, you guys know that I love you. It's so good to have you here. Welcome back. I hope we're all doing good today. So today's video is something that I'm actually excited to be covering because this is going to be taking us all the way to the Buckingham Palace in Britain. I think this happened in December of last year, 2022, and it actually happened in the Buckingham Palace. So this is the incident of a black lady, Ngozi Fulani, who had an interaction with Lady Susan Hussey, who is the lady in waiting to the late Queen and has been described to even be one of her best friends. She's also Prince William's godmother. So from her profile, you guys know that this is going to be a big deal, right? So there was an event that was held. I think it was a charity event. And then this black woman, Ngozi Fulani, was one of the attendees because she is the CEO of a charity organization called Sister Space that caters to black women who are survivors of domestic violence. So without talking too much, let me play the clip right now.
I'm very passionate about changing the way things are for women. The misogyny, the racism, the violence, physical and other. So I thought this was a great opportunity for us to move forward collectively. I was standing talking to two other women, and a lady in blue makes her way over to us. First thing she does is to grab my hair and move it, she says, because she needs to see my name badge. Now that's a violation, right? I can't imagine that I would go up to anybody and take their hair and move it. I don't know you, you haven't said anything, but she's an elder and the environment suggests that I just let that pass. And then she asks me where I'm from. Now, because of the environment, I said I'm from Sister Space. No, but where are you from? Oh, we're based in Hackney. I thought it was a genuine question. And then she says, no, but where are you from? That threw me. So I said, she said, no, what part of Africa are you from? That's the question she asked at first. And I thought maybe because I said we deal with women of African and Caribbean heritage. So I said, I don't know, because I don't know. No records were left. I don't know, I can't trace my lineage back. Or I haven't. So then she says, no, but where are you from? So I said, I was born here. Yeah, but where are you from? At this point, I'm very clear now, this isn't just a conversation about in passing, as you do at these events. She wants to drive something home. I'm trying to manage the situation. There are two people there, quite uncomfortable, as am I. So I said, Eddie, I was born here. She says, yeah, but what nationality are you? I was born here, I'm British. No, but where are you really from? Now I'm thinking, what is this, you know? Once she had established to her satisfaction that I wasn't British, then off she went. So you can turn this whichever way you want to, and believe me, yeah, it has been on my mind since, yeah? Let's call it what it is, because if we don't face it, we can't eradicate racism. And that's what that was. Nobody from the palace has been in contact with us. I don't know where they've gone, but it hasn't come to me or to our team. I do think that there needs to be a conversation held within that environment, because if people are saying, I feel that I'm being treated in a particular way for whatever reason, then they have a duty of care. And as the monarchy, right? There is no room for race. All right, so we need to be having this difficult but necessary conversation.
While researching, I found so many clips of a lot of people in Britain, of all ethnicities, all races, because you guys know that they have everybody over there. They have the brown folks, they have the white folks, they have the black folks, everybody's over there. So people have been chiming in, talking about what they think about the situation. So let me just go right and play some of the reactions and the conversations that have come in response to this.
I don't mind if somebody asks me where I'm from. But that is not what Lady Susan Hussey asked her. Lady Susan Hussey asked her, where are you from? Where are you really from? No, where are your people from?
Yes.
No. Okay, when did you first get here? After she said, I was born here. I'm sorry. Is she asking when her mother and father had sex and she was conceived? When did you first get here? And then she go, oh, I see I'm going to have a child. Those are the questions that were posed. At what point would you, my white brother and sister, go, okay, I've had enough of this. This is rude. Those who are looking to defend Lady Hussey are now trying to discredit Ngozi Fulani with every single ammunition they can think of, made up stuff. But none of that changes the fact that Lady Hussey had that conversation the way she had the conversation, and she should never have done that. I'm tired. Why should I have to explain something that common sense should tell you is wrong?
And demeaning.
Exactly. If I did that to you in such a way that you start to get the feeling, and I'm making it blatantly clear that I am doubting who you are, doubting your identity, doubting every word that you say to me, what else needs to be said? Why should I have to come to my white brothers and sisters and persuade you and move your hearts and mind? You move your own damn hearts and mind.
So, in regards to the Ngozi Fulani scenario at Buckingham Palace, I think we need to look at this case with a little bit of context, because when you turn up to Buckingham Palace looking like you are from the Woman King, people will be interested in your outfit with all of these different cultural indicators and the significance behind them. Because if your culture is clearly important enough for you to literally wear it upon yourself, then don't be surprised when people ask you questions about your culture and your heritage. Of course, the lady is going to ask her what country she's really from, because she's not dressed like she's British. Look, she's not dressed. Culturally, she's just not dressed like she's British. She's dressed like she's from Africa or somewhere else. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, this kind of makes sense of why she would ask her those questions. Not only that, but this question is a prominent question in the black community. Many times when I was in school, people would ask me, what country are you from? And if I told them Britain, they would interrogate me and ask me again, what country are you from? And then I would say Caribbean, Jamaican, right? No harm done, no harm done. Because if I didn't actually just say Jamaican, they would call me a coon. Now, I think this lady here just wants money and media attention. She's piggybacking off the Meghan Markle situation. Clearly, she's just using it to get money. Because if she was really just upset with it, then she would have taken the lady to the side and been like, listen, I'm uncomfortable with this. This is how you offended me, and left it at that. But no, she's gone to the whole internet and kicked off this huge fuss over one simple, harmless little question. Come on. She said it was abuse. Was it really abuse? Someone asked you a question when you were wearing Woman King clothes. Someone asked you a simple question, and you're now offended. Come on, man. Come on.
Are you seriously telling me that if you saw this woman at a party, you wouldn't ask her questions?
Yes, I will ask questions. And we have to be careful with the way we just get emotional sometimes. And I'm talking to Africans in the diaspora, the African Americans, and even Africans in the UK. Every little thing, you just get upset. Yes, maybe her questioning was upsetting the woman, but babe, you're dressed in African. Your name is Ngozi. She would ask, where are you from? And you tell her London. She'll say, come, but your name is Ngozi. That is not an English name. You are not dressed like an English person. You are dressed as an African. So where are you from? If you are ashamed of your ancestry, just say it instead of just getting upset and calling someone racist. That's not fair. It's like seeing a white man dressed in a kilt and he says he's Nigerian. I'll ask questions.
Hi, Benji here, and after the shocking display of racism at Buckingham Palace today, this is a friendly reminder that it's a racist microaggression to ask a black person where they're from. Yesterday, at an event at Buckingham Palace, Ngozi Fulani, who is CEO of DA organisation Sister Space, had this woman touch her hair and repeatedly ask her where she was from and how she came here. This is unfortunately a common experience for black people in the UK, the insinuation being that we can't possibly be from here because of our race and that we don't truly belong. If you want to know more about someone's background, there are way more sensitive ways to ask this, such as, what is your ethnicity? Where did you grow up? Where did you finish your education? But before you even ask those questions, ask yourself why you even need that information. If you don't specifically need that information for something particular, it's way more sensitive to just let the information come up naturally in conversation, rather than making someone feel unnecessarily different just to satisfy your own curiosity.
I'm sure by now you're all aware of the controversy involving these two women, Lady Susan Hussey and Ngozi Fulani. At an event at Buckingham Palace, Lady Hussey repeatedly asked Ms. Fulani where she was from and seemed to not accept London as an answer. Now, I've got some wisdom to share on this, actually. And I know what you're thinking, like, what's a pretty little white guy going to tell us about this racist incident? And what I have to tell you is that actually, for every black Briton who is assumed to not be British, there's actually a secret equivalent, which is the undercover immigrant. And that is a white person who is assumed to not be an immigrant because they're white. And I, ladies and gentlemen, am an undercover immigrant. And the great thing about being an undercover immigrant is you get to find out how people speak about immigrants when they think there isn't one around. I can tell you, in my nearly 30 years in the UK, very rarely actually does somebody ask me where I'm from. Sometimes I'll pick up something in my accent and then they ask me. But what's really interesting is I'm originally from South Africa, of course, a predominantly black country. White people are not indigenous to South Africa. All white people in South Africa are descended from from Europeans virtually in living memory, certainly traceably in the last few hundred years. And yet, when I've told people that I'm South African, never ever has somebody followed up with, but where are you really from? Nobody has ever wanted to go back from that point. And that's because, as a white person, I'm seen as belonging in the UK. I'm not seen as a foreigner. Now, my ancestors happen to be British and Irish, but they could have been Dutch or German or Polish or Portuguese or Russian. But nobody's interested in that, because if you're white, you pass the test and it's fine. So I know that this incident was about race because Ngozi Fulani is way more British than I will ever be. She is culturally British. She was born here. And yet I, as a foreigner, will never have to face the kind of interrogation that she had to face from Lady Hussey. I'm glad she's out of her job. I don't think she should be in a position dealing with the public if she isn't aware of that kind of cultural sensitivity. And I think this lady deserves a massive shout out for the way that she's handled the whole situation. She has been calm, she has been brave, she has stood up for herself. And I think she deserves huge credit from the whole country for how she's handled this. Absolutely brilliant.
Okay, so this is my view on the Ngozi Fulani incident that happened at the Buckingham Palace. Don't come at me because I'm a black person, and I do understand that racism comes in all shapes and form, and that we're trying to get it to a minimal. But we also need to be fair, because looking at this lady, I wouldn't be able to tell that she was British born. How she was dressed, how she was looking, I wouldn't be able to tell. So I would ask questions, and those are innocent questions to find out about her heritage and her history. So if she was ashamed of, sharing her heritage, she should have said that. But for me, I personally don't see anything wrong with the question that she was asked. And it's not racist to me.
Marlene Headley, aka Ngozi Fulani, went on every national newspaper, international media to trash an elderly lady because she simply asked her, where are you from, and was curious about her heritage. Let's not forget that she had not been invited to Buckingham Palace. Somebody else brought her along. And she used a name that is actually not her real name. Her real name is Marlene Headley. We have seen her in videos, how she prepares herself to look more ethnic when she goes and wants to portray an image, right? So Lady Hussey was humiliated and called the worst possible, most vile names that there is. That to me is elderly abuse, because she was asking somebody in a social context, where are you from, in a noisy area. Now, of course, because Ngozi Fulani or Marlene Headley went along and started making a big stink, people started going through her charities finances, and apparently there's some skeletons there. Immediately she went quiet. Now we have that Ngozi Fulani went to the palace and met with Lady Susan Hussey, who apologized to this fraud for asking her, where are you from? What's your heritage? Where do you come from? Simply to establish who she was, to engage in conversation like millions around the world. We get asked that question, okay? Especially when she was dressed ethnically and she had a really different name. So poor Lady Hussey has been made to apologize to this grifter. And now the grifter has said and admitted that there was no malice. But she did it. She knew from the beginning that there had never been any malice. This woman belongs in jail because she falsely accused somebody of racism, when she knew from the beginning that Lady Susan Hussey, who has impeccable reputation, didn't mean anything by it. But she did it while Prince William and Princess Catherine were in Boston to cause damage and chaos.
The question is right now, where are you from? Where you really from?
That's a big question.
What do you think about that?
That's a big question. I'm born here in London. My background is Asian, obviously. We get the question all the time, but you know what it is? Especially when I travel around the world, it's not just white people that ask you, it's people from all over the world ask you. I can go to black countries, brown countries, South America, whatever, everybody asks you. So
we're talking about England at the moment, because England, if they ask you like this, where are you from? So you gave them the first answer, and they didn't accept that. It felt like interrogation. So how do you feel about that?
You know, it is what it is. Not everything's a race issue. And if someone asks me where I'm from, I would say I'm British Asian, to be honest with you, because I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
I'm proud of both aspects of it. Obviously, you can tell I'm British by my accent. Yeah. You can tell by the colour of my skin. If you could see me, I'm brown. Yeah. I'm Asian, so I don't really have an issue with it. I know what you're referring to, the lady in the in the royal family thing. You know, everyone's different, and if she put up a defence, it's up to you as the person asking the question to notice that defence. You understand, and say this person's not comfortable with this line of questioning, and we'll leave it there. Yeah, but I don't think the same as her. You understand? If someone asks me, I'll say proudly, yeah, I'm British Pakistani.
But your charity seems to think it does. It will only help African and Caribbean people. That, to me, in itself, is slightly racist. That is what it says. This is what it says on the charity's Facebook page. This space is a safe venue dedicated to African and Caribbean victims stroke survivors of domestic and sexual abuse, and is staffed and managed by volunteers. Can you imagine if the charity said only white people? I bet she'd be the first to complain. Let me see. I go to the charity, her charity. They ask me where I'm from. I say Newcastle. They ask me again. I say from GB News. Then they ask me, no, what part of Africa? I say they didn't keep a record. I'm guessing at that point she'll tell me to clear off. I wonder how many traumatised women she's turned away who don't meet her criteria. Frankly, I'm embarrassed about this woman. She's affiliated with the Black Lives Matter movement, a bunch of fraudsters who played on white guilt to extort money from the generous, trusting nature of most people, the majority of whom are not racist, and in my view, manipulating a conversation to suit her own ends at the expense of an old woman. And Ngozi Fulani is a complete and utter hypocrite.
Lady Susan Hussey was a lady-in-waiting to our late Queen, and reportedly one of her best friends. She'd given 6 decades of service to this country. At an event last night, a cocktail party event last night at Buckingham Palace, there was a woman in full African dress. Lady Hussey, perhaps not unsurprisingly, asked her where she came from. She got a series of non-replies, and pursued the conversation. In the end, it turns out that Ngozi Fulani, who is a British citizen, although of African heritage and still displaying African culture, it turns out she said she felt she'd been denied her nationality in what was seen to be an outright racist assault. A couple of points to make about that, because I thought immediately something doesn't feel right here. So who is Ngozi Fulani? Well, I tell you, she helps run a charity. The charity is called Sister Space. Let me read you their mission statement. Our charity supports black women domestic violence survivors. So if you're white, don't apply. Black women domestic violence. And she says, I admire Meghan for speaking out. According to clear definition, it seems Meghan is a survivor of domestic violence from her in-laws. This was in 2021. And I could go on. She said, I'm glad the hypocrite Piers has left ITV. Well, I'm not Piers' greatest fan, but I did think, actually, on Meghan Markle, he was almost certainly right. She then goes on to say about the Jubilee, Harry and Meghan won't be allowed on the balcony. It is an exclusively white balcony. The only black people are banned. This is racism. Add to that her organisation has been funded by Black Lives Matter. And I'm not questioning the stated aim of Black Lives Matter, of equality from all. I'm questioning an organisation that has proved to be deeply corrupt, that wants to effectively close down funding for our police forces and bring down the entirety of the Western world. And do you know what's worst of all? There's a full transcript of that conversation with Lady Hussey. She clearly had a tape recorder on her as well, and my view is rather than an 83-year-old woman being thrown to the wolves for doing nothing more than trying to make small talk, polite conversation at a cocktail party.
So after watching these responses and stitches and videos about the whole situation, I think one of the videos that stood out to me was the one made by the white South African man, where he talked about being an undercover immigrant. Was that the word he used? Because he's palm colored, he doesn't really get asked that question. And even when he gets asked that question, they don't probe him further when he says he's from South Africa, because everybody knows that white South Africans are not indigenous to South Africa. So why don't they probe further when they ask him that question? That's food for thought, right? Then you have people who also believe that Ngozi Fulani just wanted 15 minutes of fame because she shouldn't have taken offense by that question, being that she was dressed in a way that suggested she's African, and also because of her name, which is Ngozi Fulani, the woman might have been asking, expecting to hear that she comes from an African country. And I can actually understand the logic behind that. But if we're just going to even talk about basic human etiquette, first of all, you don't walk up to someone you don't know and move their hair out of the way. We don't do that. So that first interaction might have already created the atmosphere that got the black woman, which is Ngozi Fulani, already defensive. I also need to say that I find it commendable when black people, when our African diaspora find a way to connect to their roots. She might have not gone to the extent of, taking the whole DNA test to find out where her ancestors come from in Africa, but she found a way to dress in such a way that you can tell that she is proud of her African heritage, the way she's dressed. She even has Nigerian names. But while researching, I found out that a lot of the people went to really dig up her background, and they came out saying that this Ngozi Fulani in question has West Indian background, like her parents are from the West Indies. There's a part of me that wonders, when that Lady Hussey kept asking her those questions, why did she not say that she's from the West Indies? But another part of me is like, this woman asked specifically, where in Africa are your people from? So obviously she gave the right answer when she said, I don't know, there are no records. There's a whole transcript of the conversation, as you guys can see, like on the screen right now. You can pause it to read. And if I'm truly to be objective, I think Lady Hussey didn't mean any harm. I think she was asking out of curiosity. We're talking about a woman in her 80s here. She probably just wanted to strike up conversation and all of that. But where I think she should have done better was when she noticed that the person she was trying to converse with, Miss Ngozi Fulani was not volunteering the answer she was expecting. She didn't really want to reveal specific details of her heritage. I wish Lady Hussey had actually just let it go. And this actually seems to be the norm for people that are not palm colored, that live in Britain. Maybe even if you were born there or your family has been there for generations or whatever, once you're not a palm colored person, once you're not a pale person, you get asked that question, where are you from? And they keep probing and probing. This reminds me that I've made a video similar to this before, this particular video where that Black American woman went to the UK and she talked about someone asking her the same question, but this time around it was a Nigerian. So following the whole thing, the Lady Hussey actually came out to apologize and she resigned from her post. And you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I've not heard of someone in a position of power who is accused of doing something racist who comes out to apologize and resign.
Buckingham Palace says Lady Susan Hussey has met charity boss Ngozi Fulani and apologised for racist comments made at a palace reception last month. Well, let's go live now to the newsroom and to our royal correspondent, Laura Bundock. Laura, how did the meeting go? What was said?
We know that the meeting took place a little earlier on today. The pair met and we are told that the meeting was filled with warmth and understanding. During the meeting, we're told Lady Susan offered her sincere apologies for the comments that she had made and the distress that they had caused to Miss Fulani.
If this has happened before, let me know. So you guys can see this whole case is just a 50-50 thing. Some people are saying Ngozi Fulani shouldn't have gotten that offended. It wasn't a question that was meant to offend her. It wasn't racist. It was curiosity. While some people are saying Lady Hussey shouldn't have pushed and pushed and pushed and all of that. You guys just let me know what you think in the comment section about this whole situation. Did you hear about it when it happened? And if you're a Black person living in a Western country, do you get asked that question, where are you from? And do they probe and probe deeper? And what do you feel about it? Do you get offended by it? And do you think they actually ask this question to kind of make you feel uncomfortable or like you don't belong? Or do you think it's just out of curiosity or just them trying to make conversation? I want us to talk about this in the comment section. So I'm going to wrap up this video here. You guys, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, turn on notifications. That way YouTube will let you guys know whenever I have a new video up, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.